In Oakland today, worried that the city's multi-million-dollar budget shortfall will mean cuts to public safety programs.
$177 million. That's the projected budget deficit. The mayor and the city administrator are working on plans to close that gap. They haven't announced anything yet.
Show us the budget! Show us the budget!
Critics of Mayor Sheng Tao say they worry the deficit will worsen public safety.
We are concerned about Oakland today and Oakland tomorrow.
They're not alone. Some fear the large deficit could result in less police officers in their neighborhood.
The police officers that are usually here at the lake during the busy season are doing overtime. So if they cut that, then there's a good chance we won't have those resources.
Leanne says some of the parking issues have led to confrontations like this. Leanne says many city workers won't come to address these problems without police escort due to safety concerns.
It felt like we are at rock bottom. So if anything that have to do with security is cut, it's going to just get worse.
Baba Afalabi says rampant car break-ins forced him to close his downtown sports bar in March. He says customers stopped coming and he ran out of money.
The young men that go to the church I pastor, he went to the movies last night. Coming out of the movies, he was shot. And just the grace of God, he wasn't killed.
So when he hears about potential cuts to public safety, he worries about how much worse crime could get.
Law and order has to be restored in the city of Oakland. The lawlessness has just gone too far.
According to the Oakland Police Officers Association, there are two scenarios. One would trim the force down to 678 from 712 officers, or all the way down to 628.
I can't see a solution on how we can even effectively handle crimes and respond to calls in our city.
OPOA President Hui Nguyen argues the department has lower staffing levels than it did 25 years ago when there were 50,000 fewer residents.
They asking whether it's difficult for a police officer to work here. It's difficult for citizens to live in the city. And that's the question that we have to ask a citizen. At what point is enough is enough?
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Once again, we got to go out to Oakland, California, okay? And the reason why is because this city is on the brink of collapse. And no, that's not an exaggeration, guys, okay? This city is facing so many problems, okay? You have a mass exodus of businesses. You have a mass exodus of people, okay? Crime is out of control. Homelessness is out of control. Public works projects aren't getting done. Like, for example, construction workers aren't able to close potholes and to fix roads because they are afraid of the criminals, right? That's how bad crime is, that the construction workers are like, you know what? It ain't even worth showing up to work, okay? Because we might get shot while we're trying to fill a pothole, okay? I mean, this city is one of the worst run and worst managed cities in the country, okay? And the reason why I cover these stories is because going into the 2024 election, people have to understand what's at stake here, especially when you're talking about local elections, okay? If you vote for these progressive lunatics, your city or your town will end up like an Oakland, a San Francisco, a Portland, a Chicago, a Memphis. Yes, that is what your city is going to end up like if you vote for Democrats and progressives for decades and decades and decades and decades, okay, which is exactly what has happened in Oakland. That's exactly what has happened in these liberal cities that are on the verge of collapse. Now, in the case of Oakland, they are dealing with a mayor who seems to be a coward, okay? She went into hiding after the FBI raided her house in connection with potential money laundering and illegal political campaign donations, campaign finance law violations and things like that. She went into hiding, okay? And then she came out of hiding crying, talking about how all this stuff is happening to her because she grew up poor. And rich right-wing forces in Oakland are targeting her, again, because she is poor, which is hilarious to think about. Rich right-wing forces in Oakland, California, right? Again, it's a conspiracy theory that is quite honestly kind of laughable, okay, to think about. But, you know, she's just making excuses because under her administration, this city is becoming even more of a disaster than it was before she was in office, which you would think would be hard to do since Oakland, again, has been a shithole for a long time now, okay? And it's about to get even worse, okay? Because they are facing a massive budget deficit, okay? In fact, they're on the brink of financial crisis, and they have to make some really hard cuts to the budget in order to get by. Now, they're not going to be cutting the salaries of the politicians, like, for example, the mayor and the city council who have failed to serve the people. No. Their salaries are not going to get cut in order to help fix the budget issue. No. What they're going to do is that they're going to cut the salaries and the jobs of public safety and firefighters. You know, the people that these progressives claim were heroes during the pandemic, right? Our first responders. Yeah. When the city is facing a crisis, a budget crisis, and a crime crisis, the first thing they do is to cut from the salaries and the jobs of the so-called heroes, okay? The people that they call heroes during the pandemic, even though we know that Democrats didn't give a damn about these people. They don't give a damn about these people. This is why they are the first people on the chopping block when there is a problem with money, right? They say, well, you know what? I guess we have to cut back on public safety, which is something that you would think would be a no-go in Oakland, considering the fact that you have businesses that are leaving the city due to the fact that it's not safe, okay? So without further ado, I want to go ahead and react to this video that is going to go into more detail about the fiscal emergency that Oakland is facing.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. Oakland Mayor Sheng Tao submitted her budget proposal in May. So for the past couple of weeks, City Council has been using that document for any proposed changes. But late yesterday afternoon, the Finance Department submitted their amendments to the document, which now means 3 days before the vote, they have to work off of a new document. And I spoke with Oakland City Council member Carol Fife just before the start of the meeting. She says there is, quote, nothing normal about this budget. She says the Finance Department didn't miss any deadlines. This has just been a long and slow process. But it also means that there may not be enough time for City Council to discuss these changes with the Finance Department. I'm also being told that this new budget includes financial obligations that haven't come due yet, but which have to be included in this new budget. Fife says there are serious concerns that layoffs are coming. Oakland City Council member Janani Ramachandran says this new budget includes $63 million in cuts that will likely impact public safety. She says that may include about 100 police officers having to freeze those positions. It includes 41 police who are civilian staff, so these are not cops on the street. The proposed cuts may also force the city to close about 4 fire stations. Oakland City Council.
Wow. Again, where are the cuts to the politicians? Where are the cuts to City Council? Again, they never cut from their salaries. They never cut from their paycheck. They want to cut from the paycheck of everybody else, even though it's not any of these people's fault that this city has been badly mismanaged. So you're talking about 100 police officer jobs frozen. They're not going to have academy classes where they can train new police officers and to get them on the streets, even though they are desperately needed. Do you guys see what's happening here, right? The domino effect. Okay, you allow lawlessness in these cities and you defund the police while at the same time spending a whole bunch of money on crazy stuff that, again, doesn't have a real return on investment. So now all of a sudden, well, hey, we got to make cuts because we don't have any money. And instead of cutting from the pork, okay, and the unnecessary stuff that I'm pretty sure Oakland is spending a whole lot of money on, no, we're going to cut from the police. A city that's already understaffed when it comes to police. A city that is already facing a violent crime problem. And this is why the residents were panicking at the beginning of this video, guys. They were out protesting like, no, you can't cut from public safety. Our neighborhoods are unsafe. But again, this is a domino effect, like I tried to tell you guys. This is what happens when you spend a whole bunch of money on crazy stuff while defunding the police. So what you have is criminals. They become emboldened to commit crimes. So businesses now are going to leave. Taxpayers are going to leave. So when they leave, then the city is going to take in less money, okay? Because there's less tax revenue due to less businesses, less economic activity due to crime, okay? So now there's less revenue for the city, and they have to cut from the things they're spending money on, again, like public safety, in order to get the budget balanced, which is just going to lead to more crime. And that's going to lead to more businesses leaving, more people leaving, more tax revenue leaving, which will lead to a bigger budget deficit next year around. And it's just a cycle that is going to continue until there's competent leadership in place in order to fix all this stuff. And see, this is why I try to tell you guys all the time, okay, especially these so-called pro-blacks, okay, because they seem to be the ones that don't really understand. They're hard-headed, right? You cannot and you will not fix any of these communities and any of these problems by just throwing money at the problem. It's not going to happen. I don't care how much money you give to these communities. If crime is out of control, businesses cannot operate, okay? And if businesses cannot operate, there can be no economic growth. There can be no economic activity. The government is not a good job creator, okay? They're not efficient when it comes to creating jobs that actually have a positive economic impact, okay? Now, again, yeah, the government can create a job, but that doesn't mean it actually does anything that is helpful for the economy overall other than just spending taxpayer money to have somebody do something that is unnecessary, right? When you have a business, though, on the other hand, okay, they're actually doing something that has real economic value. And that in of itself is going to create more jobs. That is going to create more opportunity. But that only works if you have a city that is safe, that businesses can operate in, and they have faith and confidence in the system that, hey, criminals will be punished. If somebody robs my store, they will be punished. If somebody assaults me, they will be punished. If somebody breaks in a car, they will be punished. These things matter. 100% they matter. But again, when you have people who are running these cities who have no common sense, who have this progressive woke ideology that's not grounded in any reality, they live in a cuckoo for Cocoa Puff world where they believe that, oh, well, police are expendable. You don't need police. You just need to give money to all the poor black kids, right? And all of a sudden, you're going to be producing doctors and scientists, right? But that's just not how it works. That's not how it works. You have to clean up crime first. This is what Rudy Giuliani did in New York City. Now, the liberal economists will dispute this and say, oh, no, it was the economic boom of the 90s. That's what made crime drop because all of the young scholars got jobs, right? It kept them on the straight and narrow. And it's like, no. Okay? New York City significantly increased their police force. I think it was like 30%. The number of prison inmates rose about 25%. Felony arrest rates went up 50 to 70%. And voila, like magic. Oh, man, New York City had an economic boom. Well, why is that? It's because New York City was now safe to operate in, okay? You can't put the cart before the horse. Yes, you should invest in these communities, but you have to clean up crime first. You have to get the criminals off the streets, especially these repeat offenders. You got to lock them up and throw away the key. It is what it is. These liberal cities need mass incarceration. Yes, I know, scary term. Mass incarceration, scary. Okay, to an idiot, right? To an emotional person. But if you take your emotions out of it, yeah, that's exactly what these liberal cities need, right? They need mass incarceration in order to clean up these cities so that businesses can thrive, okay? So that people can feel safe and conduct economic activity. People cannot conduct economic activity if they do not feel safe, if they do not trust the system, okay? Law and order upholds the system, okay? People got to understand that. People always go, wait, there's so many prisoners in the United States, more prisoners than anywhere else in the world. Well, yeah, we also, historically speaking, that is, we've had the greatest economy in the world too, right? Along with the most amount of people in prison. I think that those two things are related, okay? Because generally speaking, the U.S. is a safe country to conduct business in, right? To do commerce. Now, again, look at what happened in a country like El Salvador with competent leadership. This guy locked up all the gangs and the criminals. He did mass incarceration. And then guess what? You had all of these companies. Now they want to invest in El Salvador. Now the economy in El Salvador, specifically the tourism industry, is doing much better. It's booming. You got people visiting that country from all over the place now, right? You got people coming in, spending money because it's now safe, right? It's almost like magic, right? But I don't think it's magic. It's just common sense. But unfortunately, common sense isn't that common among progressives. In fact, progressivism is antithetical to common sense.
Council President Nikki Fortunato-Bass says she wants a full audit of Oakland's assets.
When we get to our budget discussions on Friday, there is a policy directive in my budget amendments so that we can do an inventory of our assets and those needs over the next 10 years.
And at the start of the meeting, City Council voted to continue negotiations on the sale of the Coliseum. But again, Ramachandran says there are real concerns right now that money may not be available for this budget. I'm also being told that Oakland may have to declare a fiscal emergency so they can bypass some statutes that require minimal funding. I'm also being told that if they can't vote by Friday, they can ask for a 5-day extension. So a lot going on between now and Friday's vote. Reporting live, Ansar Hassan, ABC 7 News.
And we'll be watching it all. Thank you, Ansar. Earlier this week, Mayor Shing Tao said she would not let last week's FBI raid at her home distract her from her duties as mayor, including passing the budget, as we just heard from Ansar. With her portion of that budget complete, we found her today at a meeting across the bay in San Francisco. ABC 7 News reporter Tim Johns has more on her appearance there.
Yeah, now it was just last night that Tao said she would work with the city council to make sure that a budget was passed by Sunday's deadline. Tao also doubling down on the fact that the Coliseum would be sold and that money utilized. Amid the ongoing budget crisis in Oakland, Mayor Shing Tao spent Wednesday morning in San Francisco at a meeting of the Metropolitan Transportation Commission. Tao, who serves as a commissioner on the body's board, took time to vote on several measures during the meeting. Following a news conference in which she refused to take any questions on Monday, this is only the second public appearance the mayor has made since an FBI raid on her home last Thursday. On Wednesday, Tao again refused to take any questions from the media. She eventually left the meeting early. But Oakland's ongoing budgetary issues, as well as Tao's legal troubles, were also mentioned during the MTC meeting. One public commenter specifically calling in to blast the mayor.
And that's why I'm calling for the resignation from your committee of Mayor Shing Tao so we can have a good committee. Okay. Thank you very much.
Now, in addition to today's meeting, the Oakland City Council is expected to meet again on Friday to discuss the budget. In San Francisco, Tim Johns, ABC 7 News.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. An absolute disaster. An absolute disaster. Okay, now Oakland is selling their stake in the Coliseum, and that is how they plan on closing the gap somewhat. However, the problem is that that's a one-time thing, and the mayor is planning on using that to cover some one-time salaries for the year, but then next year, they're not going to have a Coliseum to sell, right? So they're going to be back in the exact same situation next year because they're not fixing the underlying problems and issues that is leading to the budget crisis, which is the fact that crime is out of control, businesses are leaving, and you need more police, right? You need more police, and you need to cut out the wasteful spending. Again, you should be cutting your own salary first before you cut the salaries or the jobs of policemen and firefighters. So, hey, it is what it is. There is a whole lot of corruption. There's a whole lot of incompetence. There's a whole lot of mismanagement happening in Oakland, but this is what these people voted for. And unfortunately, you have to experience the consequences of progressivism to understand that progressivism is not good. It's just not. It sounds great, right? It sounds great for the government to come in and be God and to do everything, but the government is inefficient. They're not good at capital allocation, okay? You got to understand that. The government just causes more problems, and that's what's happening in Oakland, okay? And until you get competent leadership that really kind of understands how things work in regards to public safety specifically, then, you know, hey, you're going to continue to have these issues. These liberal cities are dying, man. They really are. The Midwest, the South, red state conservative America is where it is at. Okay, so again, it's kind of a good thing that this is happening because that's kind of forcing all of the commerce, all of the money to the red part of the country, the conservative part of the country. They just need to keep their politics in California, right? As long as they keep their politics there, then hey, we're good to go. Okay, it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.